Of course, we are taking attention to Katsina State, where I will bring you 2 videos to watch that capture moment a bandit leader was actually arrested, and the second one has to do with a community leader who, of course, was equally apprehended and had link with the bandits. Of course, before I go into all the videos, let me quickly say that there's another area of success that came from the military, or rather the Office of the National Security Advisor. Let me quickly get you that information before we go into the videos. This one is coming from the Punch newspaper. It's saying Akeda athlete leaders arrested in Nigeria. You go for that to say that 2 top leaders of Jamaitu Ansaru Muslimina, Fai Biladis, Sudan, Ansaru, and Akeda athletes in Nigeria have been arrested by security agents. You go for that to say that those arrested are Mahmoud Muhammad Usman, also known as Abu Barao Abbas or Mukta, identified as the self-styled emir of Ansaru, and his deputy Muhammad Al-Najiri, also known as Malam Mahmouda. You go for that to say that National Security Advisor No Ribado, who disclosed this in a press briefing held at the Office of the National Security Advisor in Abuja on Saturday, said the suspected terrorists were arrested following a months-long counter-terrorism operation. He said the intelligence-led operation was carried out between May and July 2025 in collaboration with security and intelligence agencies. But at this point, I must say that wherever the breakthrough is coming from is appreciated. But meanwhile, before we go further into this conversation, let me bring the first video that, of course, capture moment the community leader, who, of course, is linked to banditry, was captured by the locals. Of course, maybe this is why they say it takes 2 to tango. But watch this video as we come back to further this conversation. Shortly after this, I'll bring you the other video that capture moment a bandit was arrested in the same Katsina State. Watch as we come back to further this conversation.
Sunanka?
Ni ne uwar Salisu.
Ya kai magana da kariban jinka.
Salisu ne.
Salisu wa?
Salisu Abdullahi. Mai unguwa.
Kai mai unguwa ne?
Ni mai unguwa.
Wani gari kake?
Wala.
Wata karamin hukuma ce?
Kanke da karamin.
A cikin wala kake?
A cikin wala.
To ga ka a hannun hukumar Siwot da ke operation Tarancin Local Government Award. Da wani laifi ake tumaka?
Laifin Mpoma. Na Mpoma.
Mpoma ne kai ko da kai ake aikatawa?
Da ni ake yi. Da ni ake tafiya.
Da kai ake aikatawa. Za ka iya ma hukumar siwar bayanin abubuwan da ka san an aikata da kai na bangaren kidnapping?
Gaskiya.
To ina sauraron ka.
Zo wala an kori shanu.
Me kuma?
Da mutane.
Mutum nawa?
Mutum 17.
Aka yi ne?
Aka kidnapping.
Kai da suwa?
Da su alƙali.
Alƙali ya sunan wani gari yake?
Shi ma yana cikin doba yayin wala ta arewa.
Ya sunan babansa?
Alhaji Tanimu, shi alƙali Tanimu sunan baban shi.
A wani gari kace?
Doba.
To sai wa?
Sai na wannan Manu. Sai Manu.
Manu wani gari yake?
Nan Doba. Manu ta nan Doba yake.
Ya sunan baban shi? Wani gari yake?
Nan cikin Doba.
Ya sunan baban shi?
Alhaji Dano.
Sai wa?
Shikenan. Nan
wanda aka yi da su a ina kenan?
walawa.
Bindiga nawa aka bar ita?
Shiga.
Mutum nawa aka dauka?
17.
Sai me kuma?
Sai shanu da akora.
To sai ina?
Sai mai dango.
Me aka yi mai danko?
Mai dango da aka ko ba da ni wani ana gama ba nan. Mai danko?
Mai danko.
Ya ko mai danko. Ta yamma da mu ba. Wanda aka gangara habba kin wuri. Ana ta wuta ba. Gaskiya ne. Da
kai aka yi?
Da ni aka yi.
To me ka san aikata a mai danko?
Mai danko an kora mutane.
Haven't watched that video? I think the point here is, it is irrespective of where the victory is coming from. Whether on the part of the locals, though personally, I'm of the view that the locals have the wherewithal to address this insecurity better than the security agencies. Since all crime is local, and since they know the terrain better than the police, the DSS, the army, the navy, name it, that may be coming from different parts of the country. So I think they should be empowered to do the job, because you have seen successes from the locals in different parts of the country. We saw the one that came from, of course, Abraka, the one that came from Ogwashiku, and the most recent, the one that came from Kwara State, where the locals arrested a handful of the bandits. But meanwhile, let me allow you watch this other video that captured the moment the bandit leader was arrested in Katsina. Watch as we come back to further this conversation.
Ita kama shi. Ka san Allah. Ban boye ba. Kai ne mai sallar ne. Ya kawo kana. Yau ni hodi. Ka kin zo da kai. Makka. Ji ka kin zo da nan. Makka jawo. Wani ne zawo an yi ma wannan da gare ko bai so da. Masa. Masa wadan babu ya babu. Ina baka masa da wasu. Kuma shi masa nan yake nan ya tashi. Ko ba gaskiya ba. Ka san duk abin da za ka yi. Ya kawo neman masta. To shikenan. Masta shi ya kawo masta wan. Ni in ban taba sani kuma ni ina da manya kuna ji kai ku wannan ku kwantar da hankali ni ina da ka huce ko huta ban iya tahiya ai ka huta kana ji ka huta an ka huta da shi tashin ya kuri Allah tashin din ka huta kana ji nan dina ai ko to tashin da zai ke kana huta ka ko ni an ce kai in ba kai abin da nake so yawa to tashi kan ba hankali Allah ku za a bi a hankali dama hankali za a bi kan Allah kan kari ne wani abu tashin mutum hankali za ka tahiya hankali za ka tahiya ka ko ni an ce ka wani ga ma fa ni an ce ka kana ji abin da nake so ka jibi nan
So, from what we can understand, it has been proven that these bandits do not, how to crack them, how to arrest them, how to decimate them is not rocket science. I think the locals have the wherewithal to address it. That is why the federal government should, as a matter of urgency and necessity, fast-track the process of engaging the locals. Understand that the federal government recently already came up with the idea of forest guards that seek to engage between 2,000 and 5,000 in every state, depending on the financial capacity of each state to pay. Of course, I think the directive came from the Office of the National Security Advisor, who before now have already directed state governments to start recruiting the personnel. But I must say that they must do things differently from what we have been doing in the past, particularly in the area of how they are trained, how they are armed, and all of that. Because one thing is certain, for them to be able to confront, engage, and overcome these bandits, they must be empowered with arms. We understand that that was lacking in the last administration under the former president of Muhammadu Buhari, where even Amateku, after being created by Act of House of Assembly in western part of the country, they could not be armed. Because we understand that the Office of the National Security Advisor gives out an extra certificate that empowers people to procure arms and deploy it in Nigeria. So we want to believe that this time around, just like the information that the opinion that came from the Director General of DSS, talking about Ajayi, who made it very clear that the communities should be empowered to be the front line of defense in case of these issues, in case of invasion anyway. But again, let me say that the likes of Ado Alero, the likes of Toji Bello must be taken out from the battlefield, must be neutralized. It will be a monumental disaster for federal government to start negotiating, engaging the likes of Ado Alero, who of course have a bounty of 5 million on his head. Because I know with concern the recent meeting he had with the state governors of Zamfara and Katsina State. I understand their predicament as echoed by the Zamfara State governor, because for obvious reasons, the state governors do not command the security architecture in state. So to that extent, there's a limit to what he can do as a governor to protect his people. But again, this takes us to the point where we should be asking questions. Because the governors under the platform of Nigeria Governors Forum are powerful. Powerful to the extent that at their insinuation, at their breath, the presidency quick. He listens. Even as powerful as they could see Buhari in his time. There are so many instances where the Nigerian Governors Forum disagreed with him and they had their way. Because of their number and because of the influence they wield in Nigerian polity, Nigerian system. So where am I going with this? That hence everybody have agreed that there is every need to rejig our sexual architecture. There's every need to think out of the box. There's every need to stop doing stop doing the things the same way and expect a different result. That what we need is to rejig the sexual architecture. So why is it difficult for the state governors through that governors forum to put pressure on federal government to rejig the sexual architecture to the point of having a state police? Because for me, that's the way to go. Though, if the forest guard will give us the result, I think we should try that first. But the ultimate thing is to allow us have that state police. Because if we have state police, I want to believe that all the challenges associated with security will be resolved. And unfortunately, these are problems that would have been solved long time ago during the time of Aburi Accord. Because the Aburi Accord captured the state police. If government had allowed Aburi Accord to stay, I want to say that today nobody will be talking about banditry, Fulani, militaries, and all of that. Because those things would have been dealt with at the level of the regions. But the way it is, the banditry will hit out here in the north, the kidnapping, maiming, and all of that will hit out here in the north is already here with us in the southern part of the country. And all hands must be on deck. Whether federal governments, state governments, local governments, and even the locals must be integrated into the system. There must be synergy between the three tiers of government. And what makes the interest, what makes the participation of the locals paramount is because all crime is local. Because the necessary intelligence, actionable intelligence that is needed to nip crime in the bud, that is needed to apprehend the bandits, rests with the locals. And in most cases, the locals are not confident in divulging such information to security agencies, who of course they see as not part of them. But if the locals are actually integrated into the security system and they could clearly see their traditional rulers play significant roles, I think it will build their confidence. Such intelligence could be translated to their traditional rulers who can in turn relate it with the security agencies for operation. Because the way it is, there is no way we can have a meaningful development in an atmosphere of insecurity. There is no way investors can come into the economy, no matter how viable the economy looks. If the safety of life and property is not guaranteed, no investor will want to bring his business, bring his money into an environment and economy where life is not valued, where kidnapping for ransom is order of the day. That is why when we saw the report the other time, of course, talking about the amount of money used by Nigerians to pay for ransom, it was mind-boggling. So at this point, that's why I want to bring you this information. This one is even coming from a federal government agency, talking about the National Bureau of Statistics. And let me take it from the Vanguard newspaper. It says Nigerians paid 2.3 trillion in ransom over 12 months. NBS, that is National Bureau of Statistics. You go for that to say that Nigerians paid a staggering 2.3 trillion in ransom over a 12-month period, according to a report released by the National Bureau of Statistics, NBS, on Thursday. The figure drawn from the 2024 Crime Experience and Security Perception Survey underscores the financial toll of crimes in the country. Go for that to say that the survey covering May 2023 to April 2024 revealed that 65% of households impacted by kidnappings paid ransom, averaging 2.67 million per incident. During this period, an estimated 51.9 million crime incidences were recorded nationwide. The Northwest accounted for the highest crime incidents at 14.4 million cases, followed by the North Central 8.8 million. The Southeast reported the lowest number with 6.2 million cases. Notably, rural areas experienced higher crime rates with 26.5 million incidents compared to 25.4 million in urban areas. But let me say that from what we have just read, it is mind-boggling and it is unacceptable. It is unacceptable because those money being used to pay ransom could have been used to do other things. And apart from that, no, just like I said earlier on, no country, no individual, no investor will be risking his money in an economy of this type of or this nature of insecurity. That is why, as urgently as possible, as quickly as possible, the government must synergize. The three tiers of government must synergize to integrate the locals into the security architecture. To do otherwise is to say we are not ready to fight insecurity. And again, this takes me to the lackadaisical attitude of northern leaders who over the years have refused to do the needful. To do the needful is to educate their children from the cradle, to give them the norms of the society, to inculcate the norms of the society into their brain so that they will not become vulnerable to be radicalized, to be recruited into terrorist organizations, into Asaru terrorist organization, into Boko Haram, into ISWAP and all of that. Because from the psychological point of view, the brain of the newly born child is seen as a tabula rasa. Until the caretaker writes anything he or she wishes to write. So if you have a situation where children are given birth to in the north, allowed to grow in the white, without parental care, without societal care, definitely they will be at the mercy of the bandits, who of course are looking for people to be used. And I think that is the brain of the problem we're having when it comes to security. So I must say that until we see an end, before we can see an end to this, we must fight it from the ideological point of view, one. And two, northern leaders must take on the responsibility of training their children to avoid a situation where their children will grow up and be an instrument for national destruction. Because the way it is, even though they not recently blame federal government for out of school children in this northern part of the country, I think I strongly disagree with them. Though the universal basic education puts the responsibility of training the Nigerian child in the hands of the three tiers of government, but I must say that that responsibility, what behoves of government to do, is the policy direction and the funding. The other areas that have to do with the school structure, the children seeing that they go back to their school, the payment of the teachers, who of course will teach the children and students, rest with the local and state governments. So it is disheartening having a situation where in some states you have the number of out of school, the percentage of out of school children are 60-something%. In some cases 50-something, in some cases 40-something, in some cases 30-something. I must say it's unacceptable. It's unacceptable because the Nigerian government owes those children a duty of education. And the point is, why is it that in the southern part of the country they are able to enforce the children are in school? And of course, if you think of it, you begin to wonder, you are talking about an age bracket of between 6 and 15, or rather between 6 and 16 years. 60-something% of children of that age bracket are not in school. I must say that this is a recipe for crisis. These are potential Boko Haram you are breeding. These are potential bandits you are breeding. These are potential Assaru terrorist members you are breeding. You are breeding. Because allowing the children to grow in the wild is directly handing them over to bandits to be used as national destruction. Let me say a very big thank you for your time. This is Settler Media and Mr. Martin.